Hello, guys and gals, me Mudahar, and ladies and gentlemen, I, as you all know, have a severe despise for Microsoft, okay? But it doesn't come out of nowhere. I actually saw something that I might consider to be Microsoft's biggest hypocritical, moment ever in recent times. Now, I want to ask you guys a serious question. What are your thoughts on piracy? Downloading a video game from the internet without paying for it. Now, if you're one of those people that says, whoa, Muda, are you ready to go to hell? Okay, I don't think you're going to go to heaven if you pirate a game. The reality of it is, it's complicated like everything, okay? I don't think God is going to deny you entry to heaven if you downloaded a video game off the internet. Brass tacks with you, when I was a kid, downloading ROMs off the internet to play games that I didn't have access to was something that I did. Obviously, as I got money down the road later on, I had an income stream, I figured it was just better to buy the video games, right? It meant that, generally speaking, I was less prone to downloading some shady fucking game off the internet and getting infected. Now, at the end of the day, stealing is stealing, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I think we all can argue that, stealing from an indie developer who's trying to rub two nickels together to pay their bills versus a big mega multi-trillion-dollar conglomeration like Microsoft is vastly different. But what about a company like Microsoft that also just basically admits to downloading pirated information themselves, which is the rabbit hole we're going to go down today. So basically, the catalyst for me talking about this was a game called Forza Horizon 6. Now, Forza Horizon 6 got leaked 2 weeks in advance. Basically, somebody fucked up on I don't know if it's the Steam distribution, but basically these files were put up, people downloaded it, and all the pirates started sharing it around. So, effectively, you could play the game 2 weeks before the actual game released. So a game that, costs your standard $90 Canadian, or $160 if you want to get the season pass and play 4 days early. Well, it turns out motherfuckers on the internet, pirates, were playing the $160 edition for basically the price of $0, right? So yeah, basically piracy was happening. And you know what happened immediately after? Well, it turns out Playground Games, and I'm not disrespecting the developers here or anything, I simply just want to say that these guys are ultimately owned by Microsoft, right? They are a division of Xbox, Xbox is a division of Microsoft. And I want to just say this, Forza Horizon 6, from the amount that I've played, is actually a fairly great game. I actually have no disrespect. I'm getting Forza Horizon 6 when it comes out because it's gonna be a POG game. I love racers. I love, driving Ferraris, Lambos, Porsches, Mustangs at 300 kilometers an hour, without worrying about crashing it into somebody or the police pulling me over and taking my entire freedoms away. So I think it's a fucking great game. It's actually one of the highest rated games too. And it's not because of the whole place Japan meme. It's actually a fucking great game. So the actual guys over at Playground are like, we're aware of reports that a build has been obtained prior to its release and can confirm it's not the release of a preload issue. We're taking strict action against individuals found accessing this build, including franchise-wide and hardware bans. So if you're dumb enough to be connected to Xbox Live, if you're dumb enough to be signed into your fucking Microsoft account, if you're dumb enough to be sharing hardware with a pirated account and your legit account, you, my friend, deserve the fucking ban. But I find it a little bit hypocritical that this is coming from the company that is basically admitted to using pirated materials themselves. So if you're somebody that's dumb enough to play Forza, you might get this message. You're suspended for cheating, which is due to cheating or unallowed modding, I guess basically using the game without its official release capacity. You're banned up to the year 9,999. So yes, if you're dumb enough to be connected like this and get banned, I mean, you're a fucking idiot. Simple as that. You're a fucking moron. You don't even know what happened to kids these days. How do you guys not know the magic world of no CD cracks or anything of that nature, or pulling the internet cord if you use software like this? Not that I'm advocating for piracy. Obviously, that would be a violation of YouTube's terms of services. Now, I wouldn't be talking about this if I didn't have a reason to actually be mad at Microsoft. So a few months ago, if you've been watching my channel, I talked about a company called NVIDIA and how they were called out for basically using what we call shadow libraries on the internet. Basically these pirated places where, you go over to them, you download all of these copyrighted books or whatever data, and a lot of these companies allegedly, of course, use it to train their AI models. Remember, AI is a huge thing for Microsoft. It's how they've, in my opinion, kind of jumped their market cap. They've jumped the valuation of their company to an obscene amount simply because they're in that AI game, okay? The AI has bubbled up to an obscene value. So for instance, Microsoft is a company that has actually been accused by actual authors of using pirated versions of their works to train their artificial intelligence large language model. So according to, again, this, Microsoft was allegedly using 200,000 pirated books to train its Megatron Turing natural language generation model. So you can actually read the lawsuits yourself over here that Microsoft was effectively involved in, and let me pull those up really quick. So basically, in this lawsuit, one of the things they mention is Microsoft is a developer of a Turing line of LLMs. Microsoft released a private demo called Turing NLG in February 2020. In October 2021, they published this blog post, which we'll read, introducing the significantly large successor model, the MT-NLG. So basically, to train the Megatron LLM, Microsoft copied a notorious collection of approximately 200,000 pirated books known as Books 3 and fed them into an LLM. So Microsoft could have trained this stuff on public domain, but they could have even paid, the actual license, and not like they couldn't afford it. Honestly, even if these guys bought every single book and threw it into their training, it would still be a negligible cost. Not saying that even that example makes it fucking okay. So ultimately, I went to Microsoft's research blog, and this is publicly posted on October 11, 2021. So remember, companies like Microsoft and NVIDIA and any of these companies get ripping mad if you pirate their stuff, okay? In fact, this whole big tech wave of piracy is this grave sin. Well, look, at the end of the day, it's complicated. As much as I think that, yes, piracy is stealing, let's not forget that game preservation, which I'm a huge proponent of, game preservation is only really possible because piracy as a medium exists, right? When you crack the copyright protections on a lot of these softwares, you're allowed to preserve a video game long beyond what a company allows you. If a company delists a video game that isn't cracked, that game is effectively lost media forever. And I don't think that anything should be lost media, right? I think that games that we grew up with, games that we once paid for, should be allowed under our domain. And it's crazy that in order to make sure something is preserved, you have to technically break the law by piracy or copyright circumvention. So anyways, Microsoft's blog over here from a bunch of these individuals, this is from like their group managers, individuals over at NVIDIA, they ended up actually admitting in this case about their training data. So we use the architecture of the transformer decoder, which is a left to right generative yada yada yada, and over here they said we largely built our training data set based on prior work, which was called the pile. Now, this is not some crazy orgy shit. The pile is a 825 gig diverse open source language modeling data set. So when these AIs started to first be made, the big reality of them was the data that existed in these data sets that were kind of curated. So all you had to do was download the pile, excuse me, and you had to plug them into your actual AI training data or AI trainers and basically train your big models this way. Now, obviously, downloading the pile, from what I understand, isn't necessarily possible because I think the fucking repository is kind of ripped away from them. Now, interestingly, what was important in the pile was what was consisting inside of it. So inside over here, they basically never mentioned anything copyright, created. They actually just mentioned the steps they took for how they extracted data and all of that good stuff. So interestingly, right over here, they said we ended with a set of 15 data sets consisting of a total of 339 billion tokens. And so they diversified it by how much those are weighted. So inside here, what's most important is the term Books 3. So what is Books 3, you might be wondering, Muda? Well, let me guide you, young Padawan. Books 3 is a data set that contains 196,000 plus books from authors like Stephen King, Margaret Atwood, Zadie Smith, and yes, you can imagine, none of this was fucking legal. Obviously, it's copyrighted shit. You can just download all of this data, already earmarked, already formatted, ready to just throw in for training. Crazy shit. Now, this data set has been accused of including pirated and copyrighted books without authorization from the authors or publishers. So again, these are the various incidents that have come into it, right? Neuroscientists sue Apple for illegally using their books to train AI. OpenAI deleted training datasets believed to be copyrighted books. So here's the reality, right? You go back to a game like Forza, and all this bitching and complaining about piracy. Like, I've seen YouTubers say, please think of the multi-million-dollar company, Muda, don't pirate Forza, it would be bad. The reality of it is, look, I'm not going to go this hard on companies like Sony or Nintendo even, right? Like, people bitch and complain about Nintendo piracy, and I doubt piracy financially really screws over Nintendo. But Nintendo also isn't creating generative AI slop that is trained off of actual pirated works and then bitching and complaining when it happens to them. Microsoft, on the other hand, is releasing a game that gets leaked early. Obviously, they have a right to be mad that their copyrighted work is brought out to the vast majority of gamers free of charge. It can be pirated. But how is it that I'm supposed to take it seriously from the company that is allegedly, and in some cases self-admitting, to the same crime that they're accusing other people of? Now, I want you to understand, this is not the only example of this story. This is a blog post from November 19, 2024. And the reason I'm on the Wayback Machine for this blog post is because the senior product manager, Pooja Kamath, comes in and basically tells people how to pirate actual Harry Potter books. So if you look carefully, basically, I can tell you right now, nobody legally looked this over because it's so degenerately terrible. For instance, in this case, she shows you that from a well-known data set, we are creating engaging and relatable examples. So for instance, she knows what the Harry Potter books are. They're written by J.K. Rowling. And of course, she gives a brief synopsis. She says that this data set from an organization or a pile called Kaggle contains 7 TXT files of 7 books from Harry Potter. So for this demo, she's just going to be using the very first one. So for this, she says, whether you're a tech enthusiast or I hate this term, Potterhead, she's going to tell you how to, again, provide accurate and context-rich answers from Harry Potter book, basically training a little AI model on the Harry Potter books so that you can use an AI to regurgitate information from the books. And what's really interesting over here is she says that we're going to push the creative limits of the application by teaching it to generate new AI slop Harry Potter fan fiction based. So you can go through the whole steps, and she guides you through how to set up this little model, how to train it off of this text information, how to chunk it in, yada, 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 so on and so forth. And down over here, you can see that, again, literally in the use case, she is showing you how to create generic AI slop Harry Potter fanfiction. Not that there's a lack of this on the internet. I mean, it's like going to the creepypasta wiki, downloading the top 10 creepypastas or internet stories or ARGs, running them through an AI model and just telling it to regurgitate new ARGs based off of the information that it's learned. Remember, this is based off of information that we've learned and not inherently using it to come up with a crazy new concept that isn't some brief regurgitation of the patterns it has spotted in this training data. So, and again, to top it all off, they whip out the AI slop Harry Potter images that they want to drop in. Now, this was taken off because, as you can imagine, it is not only a severe legal issue for Microsoft to show this, to talk about literally pirating a fucking book, but this is the same company getting mad at you for downloading Forza. It's also the same company that gets mad at people for wrongfully downloading and pirating Windows. Now, you might be like, well, Microsoft, they're okay with you downloading Windows and probably not activating it. And I would say, yeah, for the individual, sure. But this is a company that loses actual money in the software black market when big corporations or groups do not use purchased licenses of Windows, but rather pirated copies of Windows in a corporate settings. They know this is wrong, they go after it legally, but again, the same big tech industry that went after people for piracy now wants to commit the same fucking crime and make trillions of dollars off of it, but you're supposed to be the fucking bad guy if you download a racing game or download anything from them? Fuck you, and fuck whatever you want to stand for, you hypocritical pieces of fucking shit. You know, my hate for Microsoft doesn't come out of nowhere, right? Like, yes, when I switched to Linux years before the AI stuff even took off, you know, it wasn't like I was really that against Microsoft, right? Like, yeah, you know, Windows 11 sucks, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But it was the constant push for AI generative nonsense and the attack on people owning their own hardware that made me actually dislike Microsoft, to the point that, yes, I do relish when I get to make these videos and talk about the blatant hypocrisies that are taking place, right? Like, how is it that we are supposed to say, like, the fact that they wrote this in an actual blog post, this blog post, which is still up, by the way, refresh, it is up on their actual fucking domain. And they just blatantly admitted, like, by the way, here's the pile. We know that the pile consists of this controversial book set, which could contain pirated shit, but we don't care. You know, it's one thing to train a data set off pirated materials and maybe release it as a free open source model. Like, that has its own ethical constraints. But you know damn well that a company like Microsoft is absolutely licensing this AI out to people. They are making money off of it by allegedly, of course, using pirated shit. But the moment somebody starts doing it to them, you're supposed to feel bad for them? You're supposed to feel guilty for that shit? Fuck you. Like, what is that? I'm not trying to make an excuse that you should pirate a video game, right? Like, at the end of the day, I will be playing Forza Horizon 6. I'll be buying it, okay? It's not really uncommon. But I think this constant idea that Microsoft is going out of their way to shame you, to make you feel bad, to be hostile towards effectively the same activity they themselves are doing and knowingly profiting from is fucking insane, you know? Like, it's, you know, one of the things that maybe would make me defend them is, like, you know, groups like the Internet Archive that had to deal with the most insane lawsuits because, yes, they made a mistake by sharing copyrighted stuff to people, right? If Microsoft or Nvidia or any of these fucking scumbags got together and said, listen, we'll help pay for your legal fees and help you out, right? Because we're kind of going through the same shit ourselves. It would be negligible to them, you know? But they still don't even do that. It's one of the things, right? I don't like to call them big tech anymore. I like to call them big parasites, because that's what this industry has kind of become. The technology and the dragon that they are chasing is so inherently parasitic to humanity that I think if you're not fucking calling it out like that, you're doing a disservice to the entirety of this situation, right? Like, forget the whole data center crap, forget the whole, just forget all the noise that you hear, right? Just think about it to yourself. The technology that they are making is ultimately built off of the backs of hardworking people, talented people, and then it's used to regurgitate shit while charging you an insane amount just to do it, you know? Like, it's like, I feel like I live in fucking crazy land is what I feel like I live in, you know? Like, and there's not really a lot of people that are screaming against it, right? Like, maybe aside from, like, Louis Rossman, I feel like a lot of the big tech industry that's kind of, like, captured, like, the big tech content creators are sort of captured, or maybe they don't want to speak too hard against, you know, the industry itself, because maybe there's, like, a financial obligation to it. Maybe it's like, hey, listen, we have great ties with these individuals, but we have to be willing to call out this insane level of hypocrisy, where hypocrisy actually is. Microsoft is straight up allegedly doing something that they themselves are mad over. Why? You know? Like, at this moment in time, if a future Microsoft product comes out, whether it be Halo, whether it be Forza, whether it be Gears of War, whether it be fucking whatever, right? If it's from their studios, it is morally and ethically okay to pirate that content. I'm not saying it's legally okay. Legally, it's not, right? Like, legally, piracy is always bad, right? Based in the current law. And maybe that law needs to fucking change. But the fact that when I saw this Forza ban wave, when I saw the anger around it, it made me just go, what the fuck? You know? How do you get mad and challenge the people for the same activities you yourself are just doing? You know? Like, it's like, what the fuck? And I feel like most people don't connect these dots or don't understand it. So here's this video. This video shows you the blatant hypocrisy. It shows you why I'm a fucking villain. This is like, what's that villain from like The Incredibles? The guy that like, not that Windows was ever The Incredibles to me, but it's like, I'm like huffing and puffing. I'm like, no, this is my like villain arc right now, dude. I'm the motherfucking villain. You now understand the villain backstory. And it's playing out again. Moral of the story, Forza Horizon good. Microsoft reaction to a leak, bad. Why is it bad? I'm showing you why it's bad. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mudahar, and keep it open source, keep it simple, and yeah, I am out.